All right. Good morning, recovery family. Hope you're all doing fantastic. Sun's just now coming up. It's a beautiful day. Thank you for checking into the No BS Recovery channel. If you get a second, please like the video. Feel free to comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you can be notified with every time that I release a new video. And if you could please share the video, that would mean a lot to me. Because I do this for being a service. I do this out of the goodness of my heart to try to spread the wisdom and knowledge that I've learned over the last 8 years of being clean and sober, and try to pass it on to the next suffering addict or alcoholic. Today, I'd like to talk to you about something somewhat controversial, I guess, in a way. Because when you break down recovery, when you break down how to achieve long-lasting recovery, in essence, it's pretty simplistic if you think about it. It's uncomfortable, and it's at times not a lot of fun. Especially in early recovery, they say the good news and the bad news is you get your feelings back. Well, they don't mention that you get them back in an overwhelming sense. So stuff that normally wouldn't make you cry is going to make you cry. Stuff that would normally make you just kind of laugh a little bit is going to make you bust a gut. Your emotions are going to be on high alert because we're so used to numbing our emotions that when we actually get them back, it's like it's almost too much for our emotional system to handle. And that's why, some nights we just start crying out of nowhere. That's why, you'll find that I've never laughed so hard than I've laughed in recovery. It's all connected because we're now unleashing our emotions once again. And like I said, it's the good news and the bad news. You're going to feel things, good and bad. So that there in itself could be, one point towards the argument of being in recovery is difficult because you have to deal with your emotions. But at the same time, the overall viewpoint of achieving lasting recovery is still pretty simplistic. I mean, what is it really? It's following suggestion, having the willingness to follow suggestion, being open-minded to new ideas, being honest with yourself, having the courage to try new things. It's just taking that next right indicated step, but you're doing so while your body and your mind are craving a substance. I think that's what makes it especially difficult, that and the emotional aspect. Because if I told you, after 30 days, things are going to settle down and you're going to feel quote unquote normal again, and that might sound all fine and dandy, but those first 30 days are going to feel like they took forever, like they're just dragging on. And a lot of the time that happens because we're fighting the process. We're completely against it. We're looking for every little thing that's wrong with it. We're coming up with every excuse why we shouldn't be in treatment, why we shouldn't have to do what we're doing. We're looking for every single escape. And the fact of the matter is we're master manipulators. We've been doing it for a very long time. We've been manipulating people sometimes for years, if not decades. And we get really, really good at it. That's why we can look someone dead in the eye and tell them a lie and not even blink. Problem is, the person that we're best at manipulating is ourselves. We can manipulate ourselves into believing anything. We can justify and rationalize just about anything. And we truly believe it. That's the scary part, is that we actually believe what we're telling ourselves, even though we know in our heart of hearts that it's wrong, that we shouldn't be doing it. We still find a way to justify it and rationalize it, and we go through with it. So, yes, there is a degree of difficulty to achieving lasting recovery. After all, if this was easy, everyone would do it. there wouldn't be any treatment centers. There would be no need for yourrecoverymentor.com. Right? None of that would have to exist because everyone would just be able to get it on the first try. But the fact of the matter is, people that go to a 30-day program only have about a 10% success rate. People that go to an aftercare program and complete it only have about a 33% success rate. That's still pretty damn low. So why is that? Why is it so easy to relapse and so hard to stay in recovery? Well, you got to look at it from a scientific approach and think about it, as a problem that's been experienced over time. Now, if you're doing the same thing over and over again for an extended period of time, it becomes habitual. It's a habit. It gets literally ingrained into your brain. It's called a neuropathway, right? A neuropathway is created. And your brain then learns that this is part of survival. This is part of what I need to do on a daily basis to exist. The hard part is we have to break down those neuropathways and replace them with new ones that are healthy, that are actually good for us and beneficial. And that takes time. And if we don't do it consistently, we might have a really good week, but then if we slip back into our old behaviors, we're basically throwing away all the work that we did for that entire week, because we're starting over from scratch. It has to be done consistently. And I think that's a big reason why people relapse. It's because it's really hard to do something on a daily basis and be consistent with it. That's why, there's only so many NBA players, NFL players, MLB players, NHL players. The reason why is, and the reason why they're professionals, is they practice on a daily basis, or close to a daily basis. They go out there and they do what other people aren't willing to do, and that's how they're able to achieve their success. Like Michael Jordan's a perfect example. You go out there and take, I forget what it was, 1,000, 10,000 shots. Like, who does that? Well, the person who does that is the person who wants to be the best at what they do. So if you have the mindset of, I want to be the best at what I do, which is living in recovery, then you're going to put into practice everything that was suggested to you, like going to meetings, like having a sponsor or a mentor, like staying out of high-risk situations, like running big ideas past someone before you make make the decision for the big question. So in some ways it's difficult, in some ways it's simple. In some ways, all you got to do is just follow suggestion and continue to do so. I think, the hard part though is the amount of times that we have to step outside our comfort zone. And we're used to being comfortable. And the sad truth of the matter is, some people have gotten comfortable being miserable. And that's their comfort zone, is living in misery and having the mindset of a victim, and that it's poor me, and it's everyone else's fault. If you didn't do this, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. And we get stuck in that mindset, and we practice that mindset so much that it becomes a comfort zone. And when we start to experience happiness or joy, it feels extremely uncomfortable. I'm sure some of you out there can relate to what I'm saying. You've been miserable for so long that when you feel any way but miserable, it feels wrong. It's like, I shouldn't be feeling this way. This isn't right. It's because your body and your mind isn't used to feeling that way. It's completely 100% outside your comfort zone. So the point I'm trying to make is, if you want to be successful, you have to consistently leave your comfort zone and create new ones. It's like the example that I give going to treatment. Before you go to treatment, there's a lot of fear. There's a lot of uncertainty. Like, what am I going to get myself into? I'm going to a place that I've never been before, with people that I never met before, not quite sure how everything's going to work. not quite sure how everything's structured, not quite sure if this is even for me. Am I going to run into someone that's not serious about this program and going to take me out? We start to have rational and irrational fears about going to treatment, and which is totally normal, by the way. And it takes over our headspace. But what happens is we eventually make the decision to go, and we get there, and we're completely 100% outside our comfort zone. We're in a new area, new environment, with new people, doing new things. But after about a week or two, we kind of sort of get used to it. We fall into a routine, some type of structured schedule, where we no longer have the fear of the unknown, because we know what's going to be happening. I wake up at this time, I get ready, I eat breakfast, I go to group, I have lunch at this time, I go back to group, I then go home to the home that I'm assigned to. Once I'm there, I eat dinner, go to a meeting, go to bed. We start to get comfortable now, and we create a new comfort zone. But if we don't give ourselves an opportunity to create this new comfort zone, it'll never happen, and we'll be stuck in our old comfort zones. I hope that's making sense. That's literally what it is. And this whole entire time that you're in treatment, the goal is to change the way you think and to change the way that you perceive everything. They say the only thing you need to change is everything, right? Well, I believe what they're talking about stems from changing the way that you think and the way that you perceive your reality around you, including the people, places, and things that surround you. If you can do that and see things in more of a positive light, life inevitably gets better. Because you're no longer focusing purely on the negative, you're actually allowing yourself to focus on the positive. And once you admit defeat, like surrender to the process, not only will you start to enjoy yourself and meet some pretty cool people, but time's going to fly by. If you've been to treatment before, and a lot of places do, it's called a coin out, stone out, whatever you want to call it, but it's kind of like this little mini ceremony for people who are graduating the program and moving on with their lives. And you hear them say, like, it feels like I just got here yesterday. Those are the people that have a real good chance at making it long term. Of course, sometimes they don't make it at all. I've seen it go both ways. I've seen clients who I thought for sure were going to be successful and achieve long-term sobriety or clean time, long-term recovery, and they graduate our program, and then I get a phone call a month later that they overdosed and died. And I see someone else who kind of just went through the motions, didn't really talk too much, didn't participate too much, but now they've got years, like literally a couple years put together. They've achieved the goals that they set out for themselves, and they're doing well. Like it's really hard to find key indicators that show who's going to be successful and who's not going to be successful, because I've seen it from every different angle. I've seen someone come in who was absolutely against treatment, fought the entire time they were there, and like I said, put together years. And I've seen someone come in with this gift of desperation, totally grateful to be there, but then it's like they do a 180 and they want to be anywhere but. So ball's kind of in your court. And I say this a lot because it's true. Treatment is what you make it. Treatment is what you make it. If you want to focus on nothing but the negative and how this group isn't right for you and how you're not getting anything out of this and how everyone else around you isn't taking things seriously and how the bed should be better, the sheet should be better, the food should be, you just go on and on and on about complaint. And I've literally had clients write up lists, like multiple page lists of what needs to be changed at our facility. And it's like, you gotta be kidding me. A couple weeks ago, you were shooting up dope with toilet water. And now you're telling me that, we need Egyptian cotton sheets, and we need, all of our food needs to be a certain way. We need to have vegan options. We need to have, this, that, and this. And it's like, dude, you were literally just shooting shit water into your veins a couple weeks ago. And now you care about what type of fucking sheets you're sleeping in? Give me a break. But that's what happens. It's part of the disease. It's the selfishness, self-centeredness, egotism, narcissism of the disease. Is that we feel that once we make a good decision for once in our lives, that the entire world owes us something. The entire world is like, should now be at our beck and command because we're doing the right thing, right? I made a good decision, and now everyone owes me something because of it. Because I don't want to be here, but I am. I did, something I didn't want to do. So where's my reward? Your reward is the opportunity of being there in the first place. That's your reward. Your reward is an opportunity to change your life and to save your life. So don't go into treatment thinking that the world now suddenly owes you something. Because it doesn't. And it never will. That's the truth. It's never going to owe you a damn thing. It's your responsibility to take control of your own life and to make things happen for yourself. If you're just expecting to sit back and have someone do everything for you because now that you made a good decision for once, it's owed to you. It's that false sense of entitlement. I see it all the time. It's one of the most common things in treatment is this false sense of entitlement. That, like I said, the world owes me something now because I went to treatment. Like, I gave up my substances. I did what you all told me to do. Now I should be rewarded for that. Well, you're doing the right thing. I mean, that's just part of life, is you do the right thing for the sake of doing the right thing. And that's a kind of a mindset we have to get out of. We need to have the mindset of altruism, of doing the right thing for the sake of doing the right thing without expecting anything in return. That's how we should be thinking. Most of us, it's difficult to get to that point because we have this false sense of entitlement. But you got to take responsibility for your own life. And that's part of growing up. That's part of being an adult in recovery. Because you got to remember, when you start using, you stop maturing emotionally. So you might have the emotional IQ of a 14-year-old or a 16-year-old, and the body of a 28-year-old or a 34-year-old or a 45-year-old. So understand that mentally you might not be where you want to be, and you might be seeing things in a way that a teenager sees it. Definitely explains a lot of the actions that we see in treatment. To me, a lot of the times when I'm seeing something going on at the treatment center that I own and operate, it just reminds me of high school. It's like people are gossiping left and right, talking about other people, pointing out each other's shortcomings, character defects, telling each other what they should be doing better, while the other person giving the advice isn't doing great at all. It's like it's high school, because it kind of is. We got a lot of people in a room who have the emotional intelligence of a teenager. So of course it's like high school. But the good news is, once you stop using and you start putting into practice the stuff that's taught to you, you grow pretty quickly emotionally, till eventually you hit your actual age, and you start to act, that old saying, act your age. You start to act your age, and you have that sense of responsibility, that sense of duty to yourself and to others. And then, you see things in a different light. And that goes back to changing the way you think and changing the way that you perceive. So, long story short, because I'm going to wrap this video up, I'm at the 20-minute mark. Long story short is this could be a very simplistic process, or this could be a very difficult process. It's kind of up to you and where you're currently at. If you want to fight the process the entire time, then it's going to be extremely difficult for you. If you want to focus on the negative the entire time, it's going to be extremely difficult for you. But if you want to challenge yourself to strictly focus on the positive and try to see the good in everything, and you accept the fact that, you're in treatment because you're supposed to be there, and you see it as an opportunity, then it becomes a little bit easier. It's almost like a challenge. And I'm very, very competitive. So it sounds really bad, but every time someone went out and relapsed, I was like, hell yeah, my odds just went up. Statistically speaking, my odds of success just went up because that person went out. Because I know in this group of 30, while I was in res, had 30 people in my group therapy. Out of this group of 30, 3 of us are going to make it. And I'm going to be one of those 3. And every time someone left against clinical advice or relapsed or whatever, I was like, huh, sweet, my odds just went up. Sounds bad, but that was my mindset, is I'm here to be successful no matter what, and nobody's going to get in my way. Nobody's going to stop me from doing so. And I found people that had the similar mindset of me, and we got together and we started going to meetings together, and we became friends, and it was literally some of the best times of my life. That's what it could be. But if you want to fight it the whole time and act with this false sense of entitlement and let your ego run rampant, then it's not going to be a very pleasant experience, and you're going to find the going quite difficult. So, at the end of the day, ball's in your court. Treatment is what you make it. That's what it comes down to. It can be simplistic or it can be extremely difficult. You get to make that decision. That's the good news. You get to decide if it's going to be easy or hard. So that's what I got for you guys today. No one told you they love you today. I love you. Hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your day. And until next time, peace out.